Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Not many programs that were hotter than Billy Napier and the Florida Gators going into National Signing Day and, largely putting a bow on the 2025 class with, a few names that are still outstanding that could wind up in Florida's class. Want to take a bird's eye view approach of what this class turned out to be. Obviously, give our class superlatives, but I want to start with this. I think the thought process behind Billy Napier building out this roster pretty defensive heavy in the 2025 cycle, and I would guess that was pretty intentional. Now they tried to flip some targets late, notably five-star wide receiver Dallas Wilson. If I were to guess, Billy Napier, this coaching staff's thought process in terms of how they want this roster to look over the next couple of years, I think you're going to see more of the offensive players coming through the transfer portal. Yeah, I think the purpose is, hey, we got a young quarterback in DJ Lagway, who we know is an absolute dude for the next couple of years for us. If we are going to add players on offense, we probably want to add some guys that have played some college football before. And so you look at the 2025 cycle and say, pretty heavy on the defense, especially in the secondary, which I think they brought in a very, very good class in the secondary. I would think the transfer portal is going to be the next couple of weeks where you start seeing Florida add some, proven commodities on the offense to surround DJ Lagway with over the next couple of years. We'll see how that plays out. Now, fired up to get into the class superlatives. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. It's been a blast talking this team over the last couple of weeks, breaking down the commitments. The amount of support y'all have shown the fellas has been amazing. Can't thank you guys enough. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Our attention is going to be going to the transfer portal over the next couple of weeks. Without further ado, let's get into our class superlatives. We got 5 to give out. Number 1, going to the player that I think will have the biggest day one impact, meaning the freshman that I think plays the most and has the biggest impact on this team immediately in 2025. The next superlative, the highest draft pick for this Florida Gators class. Number 3, probably my favorite superlative to give out, the diamond in the rough, a guy that I think maybe not headlining the 2025 class, but I think could be a very good football player, the slow burn, and then the boomer bust candidate. Let's start with the day one ready guy. That's Ben Hanks. Really big win for Florida to kind of close this one out. Obviously, it was committed to Florida for quite a while, but there were a lot of programs that were sniffing around Ben Hanks Jr. over the last couple of weeks. There's a couple of reasons why I think Ben Hanks comes in immediately, has an impact. One, you're losing some veteran guys in the boundary cornerback room. And so it's going to just naturally provide Ben Hanks an opportunity to come in and play early. Number 2, this kid's a stud. He's one of my favorite cornerbacks in the 2025 class. You look at the background, he, to me, checks every single box you're looking for in a boundary cornerback. I think most notably ball skills. He broke some sort of record, had 13 interceptions his senior year. This kid is a ball hawking cornerback. When that football is in the air, there's no panic when it comes to Ben Hanks. He's going to go up and make a play on the football. That is really where a lot of young cornerbacks struggle and why a lot of young cornerbacks can't find the football field all that early. They just don't know how to play the football in the air. Ben Hanks does. Track and field background, 6'1", with a lot of length in his arms, can play press man. I think is going to probably operate at his best, eyes on the quarterback and some deeper third zone coverage. You can kind of do anything you want with Ben Hanks Jr. So he's really versatile as a boundary cornerback. He's got all the physical traits you're looking for. He's got the proven ball skills. To me, he seems like a kid that's going to be hard to keep off the football field early, especially if he adds a little bit more weight, which you kind of assume he's going to do before next fall. Next one I want to go to, highest NFL draft pick, and I'm going to go to Jaden Woods from the state of Kansas. This one I feel like kind of flew under the radar a little bit when he committed to Florida. I think Jaden Woods is a stud, and it just starts with the athletic profile. And we kind of talked about this when we broke down his commitment. I mean, you're talking about a state champ in the shot put and discus. You're talking about an all-state wrestler, and then you take a look at the film on the football field and say the combination between the burst in athleticism off the line of scrimmage, challenging tackles from an athleticism standpoint, and then the power this kid has in his hands. A lot of different ways that Jaden Woods can win. And even if it's early on, just being kind of a, pass rush specialist, this kid to me is going to blossom into an elite football player for Florida. And it really just starts with the athletic gifts this kid has. When you're a superior athlete as an edge rusher, chances are you're going to be a pretty damn good one, and NFL teams are going to want you. Highest NFL draft pick, going to Jaden Woods. Let's go to the diamond in the rough. And I think you could go with a couple of different names. I'm going to go with Muiz Tonkora from the state of Texas, flip from Arizona. There are some questions here, and I think that's why you have a little bit lower of a recruiting ranking. 6'3" and a half, 200 pounds, track and field background, can work vertically down the field exceptionally well. And at the end of the day, that frame with that speed, I think is really intriguing. Now, to me right now, he's kind of a one-trick pony at the wide receiver spot. He's just really big and fast and just works vertically down the field. The question here is, can you add a little bit more to his game? Can you make him a more all-around wide receiver? But regardless of him doing that, he's going to provide that elite deeper third skill set in the wide receiver room that I think Florida was really looking for, especially coming out of the 2023 year. You got quarterback DJ Lagway, who excels pushing the ball down the field. In fact, I don't think it's crazy to say, even as a true freshman, I don't think anybody throws a better deep ball than DJ Lagway in the country. You want to surround him with wide receivers that can work vertically down the field. And although the recruiting ranking, I think, is fair, a little bit lower, because he's not a super well-rounded wide receiver yet. Talk about diamond in the roughs. I'm okay with betting on these kind of traits. Next one I want to go to, and you could have had this one for diamond in the rough, but I'm going to go to Joseph Mbachu as the slow burn. Credit Florida right off the bat here. They were the first one to really discover this kid. They offered him, got him committed in the summer, and then every single program across the country was offering him by the end of the fall. I think that early offer helped Florida's chances to get him back in the fold. Why is he a slow burn? Because he just started playing football. And we talked about this kid from a physical trait. He's a gifted cat. Doesn't quite know what he's doing on the football field yet, which is reasonable for a guy that just started playing the sport. And so, although physically, I feel like he might be ready to play early as a football player, I don't think so. And I think it's going to need a year of, hey, we got to get our hands on you. We got to teach you how to use all this athleticism as a football player. You're a great athlete. We got to make you a good football player. That might take a year or two. When it clicks for this kid, it's going to click in a big way. He kind of reminds me of David Ajabo, who is a Michigan edge rusher from a couple of years ago. Very similar conversation we had with David. David barely played his first 2 years. And then, like, all of a sudden, it wasn't just like, oh, he's coming on. It was all of a sudden like that sophomore to junior year offseason, something clicked, and he just became a game wrecker for the Michigan Wolverines. I think you're going to see something similar with Joseph Mbaju. I wouldn't expect this kid to play very early, but when he does turn it on, he's going to be really good. Now, the boomer bust prospect, and I don't love that term, but a guy that I think could either work at a high level or maybe just not work is Ty Jackson. Kind of a weird one. What makes you feel really good about Ty Jackson is he's just a tackling machine. I mean, over 400 tackles during his high school, had over 350 tackles going into his senior year. You love that. Like, as a pure football player, off-ball linebacker, being able to find the ball carrier and bring the ball carrier to the ground, that is the overarching goal when you're talking about off-ball linebackers. What makes me think he's a little bit of a boomer bust prospect is 6'1", 200 pounds. I don't know if there's a single athletic trait that really jumps out to you. So we kind of made the comp to Shamar James. I'm not sure if he has like the juiced up athleticism that Shamar has. That might come for Ty Jackson. The real question is, hey, can you continue to be a tackling machine when you're on the football field with elite caliber athletes? If he can do that, this kid's going to be a really good linebacker for Florida. Now, is that going to happen? That's kind of the question. Again, the bust side of things to me is just when you look at the overall player, is there that one athletic trait that you're like, yeah, that's going to work for him at the next level? That's kind of the question you have. But as a pure football player, really, really like this kid. And I think there's a reason a lot of recruiting services and Florida was so high on him the whole process. Those are my 5 superlatives. Really good class for Florida, and I would expect them to carry that momentum from the recruiting trail into the transfer portal over the next couple of weeks. We'll obviously got a lot of commitments to break down from the transfer portal as well. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.